Welcome to White People, Black Music, and Liberation. I'm Eric, and I'm here on the journey with you. This is a transmission at the intersection of race, music, and spirituality. It's about moving past the programming and into liberation.
Hey folks, excited to introduce to you this episode with my friend Ben Isaacs. I've known Ben since 2006. We met in Mali, actually. Both studying music at our good friend Jeremy's house. We've had a long friendship, and there's been a little bit of complexity. We're both quite serious musicians, and we've been a little bit competitive in the past. And I'm happy to say that for the most part, we just really enjoy hanging out and playing music with each other recently. And he's a good person to talk about race with, because he's quite respected in the West African drumming and dancing community. He's regularly called on to play in predominantly black spaces in Oakland. And like I said before, he's one of a small number of people in my community that I can talk openly with about race and stuff. And the Bay Area is an interesting place for that. It's multicultural, ostensibly open, and yet white supremacy is still kind of the dominant frame underneath. And so we have this world of musicians of different identities kind of collaborating and sometimes colliding and exploding. And so we get to dive into some of the racial dynamics that come up around that. Some of the questions that we talk about are, what does responsibility look like for white musicians in the space? We talk about this a little bit in the first episode, and we'll dive into it even more in the second. But when a black or brown musician gets chosen for a gig over a white musician, what is that? What does it mean? Why does it happen? How do you sit with it? And, what kind of the gray area stuff too. What gigs should you take? What gigs should you pass on? How do you make that call? So it's a fun, nuanced conversation. I'm inviting you to get in there and enjoy it. Okay, off we go.
A lot of times when I talk about when I talk about race, like this will be an example of something that happens where like I'll send an email about this to like our orchestra gold group, and a common response is, well, I live in a place that's multicultural, so that's not really a problem. And I think there's that like misconception floating around.
It's a problem somehow. Right here in the Bay Area, as much as anywhere else in the well, not as much, but it's definitely a problem here in the Bay Area. I've spoke to enough people who've experienced the racist removal of people of color from opportunity here in the Bay Area to know that it's here in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Whether it's through living, jobs, or whatever. I'm not foolish enough to say, we are an open-minded plethora of compared to the rest of America, sure. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it's not here.
Yeah. So how is that possible that can exist like right under our noses, and then at the same time, like you were talking about your experience, which is also very similar to mine, that we can go through our lives without really acknowledging it, without really seeing it, and we're just like so close to each other,
It is very, I feel that there was a lot of effort put in by those who understood it from a place of power, being on the upper side of it, to depress the availability of knowledge to it. I believe that they put a strong effort, whether it was written down in conscious or not, to make sure that that was the case. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as not having any black history in the history books. Mm-hmm. Or it's as complex as the underhanded redlining.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really believe that there is a concerted effort, whether it's by a few people or many people, I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist who can tell you where all the lines connect.
Yeah.
I know they connect. I just don't have I really think it's more just individual peoples that are selfish more than a whole group of them working together, because I don't imagine a whole group of selfish people being able to work together very well. But I think they all have their own things, and it all coalesces and they work together where they do, and then fight when they want to make money from each other.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I really believe that there's a concerted effort to make that the case, as opposed to some other places where the racism is blatant and people are more balanced with each other because of it.
Interesting.
Not that it's better, just more balanced in their interactions. They're not hiding from that truth,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And so that's like a systemic thing that's happening, but what are the implications of that for people like you and me? Like, what were the implications of that for your journey around, you're a musician, you've loved Black music for all your life, as far as I know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For whatever reason, I've had music in my life since I was born. My parents are folk dancers. A lot of what they did was not Black music. I mean, some of the, you know, Lindy Hop stuff, but that wasn't their focus. They did a lot more world folk dance, you know, Balkan stuff, North European, Central European, Jewish stuff, you know, whatever. They folk dancers, right? So all sorts of stuff from around the world. And it's African dance falls in that concept, but that wasn't what they were doing, right? So I mean, it wasn't all white, but it wasn't all not white, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just, and so I had the experience of music throughout my entire life that I loved, and dancing involved with it. And so when I heard African-based American music, you know, the funk, disco, blues, jazz, all of that, it connected for some. I mean, I played classical music growing up. I, you know, did, you know, some of the white, you know, I can't, it's hard for me to picture what white, I mean, like, you know, camp songs, you know, that you get at camps or whatever. But they
Picture
didn't.
what white music actually is.
Yeah,
Is that what you were going to
I was
say?
going to say, yes. I'm trying to, it's like these terms are really difficult in my head.
Yeah.
I know they exist, you know, Appalachian music, whatever, but that's not all white music either. You know, it's like these definitions are not my strongest desire to have.
Yeah. Well,
I don't
because
like
they're
them.
not very black and white.
They're not. And so I don't like them, but we have to speak in them.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, the movement within the music, and I'm not talking about the lyrical content, that's amazing, but it's the music of Black music really has a lot of funk, for lack of a better term, funk that moves your body, moves my body. You know, maybe I just love that movement more than I love this. You know, it's like I'll listen to the Celtic music and it doesn't move my body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll listen to the European music and it's intellectually amazing, but it doesn't move my body.
Yeah.
You know, the drumming from, you know, the snares of Europe, they don't move my body, but the music from Africa, it moves my body.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's always been, even when I was a kid, I would like play disco records and dance on the bed, or funk records or whatever, you know, after I would play the, you know, Bee Gees, or I would play, you know, Steve Martin doing his funny shit, whatever, you know, it's like, or I loved AC/DC and rock and roll. It's like, I wasn't only one thing, but the music of the African diaspora is just so good inside, makes you feel so good. For whatever, you know, for the truth of where it comes from, what it is and how it is, it's connected. Yeah. So, I'm not sure if I answered your question. I think I got lost on a tangent.
Well, it's helpful for context. I think coming back to the question, it was like we were talking about there's this systemic way in which even in places where there's this threat of multiculturalism as a value, racism can still be a really important factor. And so I was asking, like, your context as a musician loving Black music, how did that impact your particular journey around finding some of that stuff inside of yourself?
Absolutely, and this is part of it. And the other thing about growing through it is understanding how a lot of the, quote, white music is really Black music that's been appropriated. Yeah. And realizing that a lot of the heavy metal and rock and roll actually comes from that Black experience, and they don't even know it. Yeah. And when I realized some of that stuff, I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, I'm not here to push it in their face and educate, but if somebody talks to me about it, I'll talk about it, right? But I don't have the individual examples that would need. So I'd have to do a lot of research to become the movement leader on that. But I understand the concept of it. You know, a lot of what has become enjoyable popular music in our culture comes from the Black experience.
Yeah.
I'm not even that hesitant to say a majority of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And sadly, a majority of it, even like country music and stuff, I would say a lot of that comes from a Black experience point of view.
Sure.
You know, and Appalachian music, you know, because it was, yes, the stuff like gypsy jazz and all the white people music was there, but I don't think it had the same connective tissue that the Black music has from where it came from. I think if you go back far enough, it all does.
Mm-hmm.
But as societies become more coalesced into a civilization,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the creative connective fiber of the music and the juju and the, you know, stuff like that wants to be removed from it. I don't know why. It just does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except for a few little aspects.
Yeah.
But the majority doesn't, you know. And I think one of the beautiful things about a lot of the African civilizations that I've studied, whatever, and that's all before colonialism, right? Because who knows what would have happened if they had gotten the opportunity to be successful like the Europeans were, if they would have done the same thing. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It could be a human trait. It might not. But a lot of the other ones from before that, the music was really part of everyday life for so many different aspects, whether it was with the ruling class or with everybody. There was musical aspects that made you connect with people around you and to the situation around you. It wasn't just entertainment. I feel a lot of the westernized music stuff moved into an entertainment field aside from the churches. And there was much less social connection through music. And that's what I think really, that's why I got into djembe. Because I played music since I was 6 or 7. You know, I did lots of instruments, lots of situations, you know, whether it was bands or groups or people or whatever. But when I found djembe, it was like, oh, there's the drumming, there's the dancing, there's the singing, there's the context, there's the connectivity that people want it to be. It was something that felt real.
Yeah.
You know, that I missed out on growing up playing all that other music.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And so when it comes to the aspects of being in an area that has racist undertones that is not being expressed, music is still one of those things that can get underneath all that and bring it together in a way that conscious speaking cannot.
Yeah. And it sounds like for you, coming to some knowledge around musical history, for example, what you were saying about so many musical threads in the U.S. being manifestations of different forms of Black music. It sounds like that knowledge was helpful for you in kind of seeing the system for how it was really operating.
Absolutely.
And then were there pieces where you were able to see different ways in which we are encouraged as people to enact that system out?
Absolutely. Even if you want to be a successful musician and you're white and you want to play heavy metal music, where is it in there that's going to be like, you know, the pentatonic scale is really from a Black musical cultural experience, and that's what you're doing mostly. Do you know that your heavy metal music comes from Black music? There's none of that.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I mean, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's not going to be there. You know, and that stuff I wouldn't have known. I mean, I grew up on heavy. I loved Iron Maiden and you know, Black Sabbath and all that. You know, and you know, the funny thing is when you do actually get a chance to go read some of the biography or storytelling of those people when they were young, they actually did have an experience in Black music that brought them into that place.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
they just don't express it once they're famous, or maybe unless somebody asks them, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's not ameliorating that stuff is not on most people's purview of most people's mindset.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would say I'm at the forefront of that. I just know it's part of me, but it's not like I'm going out there trying to make talks about why white music came from Black music or anything like that. I'm not in that field, but I understand it and I acknowledge it, and I have no fear of talking about it.
Yeah. Well, that brings up an interesting point too, because you're maybe pointing at some sense of responsibility.
Absolutely.
And that's a very personal thing, right?
Yep.
How do you understand your responsibility to give back to Black music?
That's a tough question. Because like most people, I'm caught up in trying to survive in America.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have tons of extra time and space. My personal, work with artists that are doing that music to make it more popular and wanted. B, work with Black artists that are in that music to help them become more successful. C, pass opportunities on to musicians of color where I can, when I can.
Mm-hmm.
And D, not get hurt when the requirement is to express that, and so I'm not the one to do it because I'm the wrong shade. E, have the conversation when people are ready to have. I haven't been the one to initiate the conversation in tough situations yet, and I maybe become more of that as I get more into this. That's not an easy place to be. Oh, here comes that guy who's gonna talk to us about why we're playing Black music again, but somebody needs to do it, right?
Yeah.
We had this slight conversation the other day, but that because of who we are, one of our responsibilities will be to bring this conversation to white communities because we're white,
Yeah.
people that don't want to hear it or, aren't open to hearing it. It's part of our responsibility. I'm understanding that little by little. It doesn't mean I haven't gotten to the place of how to do that yet.
Yeah.
But, it's like, it's a real thing.
Yeah. I actually have an example of that I need to talk to you about offline after this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yep. But you know what I'm talking about. So, so for me, it's like, it's in the moments of stuff, okay, so here's a tough thing for me. I'm a working musician trying to make a living. I got offered my best gig of my life a bunch of years ago, the opening of Chase Center.
Okay.
$1,200 to go play drums.
Uh-huh.
Oh, this is, I need it more than anything. It's an opportunity. Yay. Go through the whole thing. And at the end, it's 3 white guys playing African drums for this opening ceremony. That did not feel great.
Yeah.
At the same time, of course, I needed to pay my bills. I took it. It was great. I didn't know it was going to feel like that at that moment. And, musicians are musicians. We take music where we get it. We need to work where we can get it.
Yeah.
Upon retrospect, had I been more where I am now, I may have just passed that off to an African or Black musician, but then I would have been $1,200 less able to pay my bills that month cycle. Yeah. So it's a hard balance,
yeah.
But at the same time, the Chase is owned by a bunch of white people doing white. I didn't feel like I was, doing anything horribly horrible, but they are living on Black arts, basketball and stuff like that. So it's like, this is an example of where I feel I didn't succeed in my need to be more balanced. But it would have taken a personal sacrifice that I didn't do at that time, and now I realize I maybe should have upon retrospect.
Yeah.
But you don't know that at the time sometimes, and so you're not always aware. So I need, always need to be more aware. It's a growing process.
Yeah.
Well,
that's an interesting point. So what sort of opportunities would be good candidates for you to pass off to someone else? Like,
something like that for sure. But whenever people tell me about events they're doing and how they can find people to be involved in them, if it wants to have African drumming or dance music, my first thoughts are always of the African or African American artists and the bands that incorporate people from that past. And they don't need to be all Black bands or all Black groups, but led by or involved with, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like there's plenty of white funk bands that are amazing, sound great, and would be good for anything. But if I'm asked, I would pass off first to a Black led one or something, just because of that internal want to keep that. It's nothing obvious. It's nothing that I want to make a big deal out. I'm not like telling everybody that's
Yeah.
why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just my own internal,
Totally. Yeah. I guess I'm trying to wonder, like, I think maybe the direction I'm kind of pointing towards in my head is an understanding of why exactly you would be passing off on that opportunity. And I can see that maybe, or I'm sort of reading between the lines, but fill out the rest for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that there could be this sense of harm that's created by a lot of people, by certain people seeing white musicians playing black music, especially drumming. And so that there could be a sense in which having black folks involved in the ensemble could diminish that.
Absolutely.
I
agree.
Tell me.
I mean, that's sort of where I'm at with it. I mean, cultural appropriation is a thing. It's not a good, bad thing. It is a human thing for thousands of years. This is what cultures always do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, neighboring cultures, whatever, England going to India, learning about tea and being tea heads, like super tea heads. That's cultural appropriation. Initially, I'm sure it wasn't, we're going to take it over and be the tea kings. But it was a thing that was amazing that they loved. Whatever, the whole tea ceremonies in China that now you see at every little event you go to, this tea time. Sure. And there's no Asian people, Chinese people doing that. It's just the white people that have fallen in love with it and try to make it happen because it's a beautiful thing. It's like yoga, all the huge yoga thing. How many of them are actually practicing the yoga philosophy of living life in that way, that doing that, or they're just doing it for health reasons? And, so cultural appropriation is a part of existence. Mm-hmm. I don't believe it's something that you can be like, oh, this is bad. It's mm-hmm. just it is. Mm-hmm. You see something your neighbor does that is cool, you want to do that because it's cool. Mm-hmm. You see something that's healthy, you want to do that because it's healthy. You see something that's successful, you want to do that because it's successful. Mm-hmm. Whatever. At the same time, cultural appropriation that monetizes or creates a success pathway for that aspect, while the people that really still do it are being blocked from having that success, is a different thing entirely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's for me, it's like drumming can fall into that category. Mm-hmm. I don't think it does a lot. I think a lot of times people have success and they're seen to be doing that when they're just existing at the bare minimum that they can exist. Mm. You know what I mean? But because they had success and they're not African, then they've culturally appropriated. Mm-hmm. Now, whether that might be a gray area that I am not the right person to tell you what side of the line is or isn't. Uh-huh. But I try my best not to be perceived in that way, even though I'm hard for me to say I'm talented. I'm talented enough that people hire me and appreciate what I do.
I'll say it. You're freaking talented.
Okay, fine. But I don't want to be seen as somebody who took that for my own self-grandizement. Mm-hmm. Even if I know I'm not that, I don't want to be seen that either. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have my own internal. I hate it if somebody looks at me and says that guy is stealing my culture or stealing their culture.
Sure.
It just makes me feel bad.
Nobody wants to feel that. Yeah.
Right. But I'm conscious of that a lot because I'm doing such a Black African art. Mm-hmm. But I am very conscious of putting myself to be available. I'm available for anybody. Mm-hmm. A bunch of white people ask me to play, I'll play. A bunch of black people ask me to play, I'll play. A bunch of mixed people ask me, I'll play. Mm-hmm. I'm not closed to the truth because djembe is there to bring people together. That is why it was created for the world. Yeah. But I'm also very aware of that reality. When I teach to all these white people, I talk about the Black experience. I talk about where it comes from. I talk about the connection that it has to society and to things like that. I make sure that they know what they're doing, where it comes from. Mm-hmm. Not that they have to do anything about it, but just that they know where it comes from. It's not just about playing and having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I go to an event and the opportunity is to speak on the mic, I will make that connection for people to have, even if it's a small couple sentences.
Yeah.
Because for me, that's important.
Yeah.
And sharing my opportunities with other people is part of that as well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not like people come to me. I don't have millions of dollars of work and nothing. It's just small things. Mm-hmm. But, if they ask for, some African drumming, I'm going to say, hey, have you spoke with Eric Bleby? Have you spoke with Bongo? Have you spoke with Diamano Kora? Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm available. I'll make it happen for you. Mm-hmm. Try these guys. See what they got going on. Mm-hmm. Moshe Million. Try these guys. Mm-hmm. If they don't have it, come back to me. I will set it up for you, no problem.
Yeah.
I just really feel that that's important.
Yeah. And I agree. I really like how you talked about cultural appropriation, because I think you told a few important sides of the story, not to say that there isn't more. One thing is, in progressive circles, we can get caught up in pretending as if like culture only goes one way. That is like white folks only take from black folks. No. And that's just not true. Everyone is, to a certain extent, taking from everyone. That's especially apparent in music, because lots of black musicians were taking from folk and from country and stuff. So that's true. And what you said is also very important, is that when white folks do it, there is this institutional momentum. And when white folks do something, it's easier for them to monetize it. It's easier for them to turn it into business. And there's just this access question.
Absolutely.
That makes it really different. Like the quality of it is a lot different. So I think it's important to hold that tension of all those things existing.
Absolutely. I mean, this has nothing to do with that. Just from what you said about 2 sentences ago, I will never forget watching one of the national companies from South Africa put on a show all playing djembes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, hey,
because djembe
power to them. Djembe is
African,
not a South African instrument. Yeah. It sounded great. It was perfect. They're like, this is our drum. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
See, this is cultural appropriation, but is it bad? I'm not saying it's bad at all.
Yeah.
It's just like an aspect of how everything moves.
It's true.
Okay, that was a conversation with Ben Isaacs. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to get a little bit more into it with him next time, talking about specifically this dynamic of, being white or white passing, and an organizer wants a black musician for the gig, and maybe you don't get it, maybe you think you're more qualified. How do you hold that? So we'll talk about that more next time. Okay. Hope you're all doing well. Peace and love.
I'm Eric, and this has been White People, Black Music, and Liberation. If this message speaks to you and you want to be part of the journey, head to whitepeopleblackmusic.com, and let's build a world where liberation is for everyone.